Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. In this episode, we're going to make an omelet in two parts. It's a grilled pepper omelet. First, I'm going to show you how to grill peppers and onions. Now, if you already know how to grill peppers and onions, or you have peppers and onions already on hand, all grilled up, then you can just fast forward to the part on how to make the omelet. I'm doing this in two parts for people who aren't really familiar with how to grill vegetables. And the omelet part itself is quite easy too. So come on, let's cook. And here are the ingredients for our grilled sweet peppers and onions. I have two sweet peppers. I have a red sweet pepper and an orange sweet pepper. And I recommend that you not use green bell pepper with this because it tends to have a little bit of a bitterness to it. So see if you can find these sweet peppers in some form. I also have two sweet onions, which are also very delicious when they're grilled down. So that's really the core of the recipe. And then if you like heat, you can add jalapenos or serrano peppers to this dish, and I happen to like heat. And I like to do it without adding any spices to it. I just love it when it's these fresh vegetables. But again, if you want to make it to your taste and you want to sprinkle on some of your favorite hot seasonings, you're certainly welcome to do that. We're also going to use a teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And that pretty much does it. That's all we need to make this delicious vegetarian dish. And now here are the ingredients we need for the omelet itself. We have 3 large eggs. We have a half cup of cheese, and you can use the cheese that you like. I love this Fiesta blend. It just has a deliciousness to it and a slight complexity, but any stronger cheese will do. I also have a teaspoon of butter and 3/4 of a cup of these already grilled vegetables. And I will show you first how to grill the vegetables, then I'm going to show you how to make the omelet. So let me show you how to put all this together. And before we get started chopping up the vegetables, I'd just like to make a point that to cook vegetables on a grill, you really want to get one of these pans. It lets the air through and it allows all the smoky good flavor and the heat through to the vegetables, but it keeps the vegetables from falling between the grate or whatever the surface is in your grill and falling into the fire. So this will save you a lot of time. They're very inexpensive and you won't have to chase the vegetables around on your grill. So definitely look into one of these. And now what we're going to do is just rough cut our vegetables. So I cut the top off of that sweet onion already. And then I remembered that I needed to remind you to get that pan. And just set this aside, both ends. And we're just peeling it, peel the skin off the onion. And we're not going to cut it super small. This, you want it to be able to stand up to the heat and get a nice smoky grilled taste to it. So I'm just cutting it in half, and then I'm going to cut it into slivers. And the slivers are about, I'd say about a 1/2 inch thick at the bottom. And then it's that rough. That's as rough as you cut it. And then you just throw these right into a bowl. And we're going to do this with both of the onions. And this is one of those recipes that I absolutely love because it proves good cooking doesn't always require like these advanced, scary techniques. You shouldn't be intimidated by your kitchen, and you should always feel welcome to cook. And my step-by-step recipes are designed to help you get comfortable in the kitchen. So I hope you've been following along. I hope you've taken a look at our 100+ recipes and that you're getting some great results from them. So there's our onions, and boy, do they taste delicious grilled. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm already drooling. And then we're just coring and seeding the peppers. And then these, the same thing. I'm just cutting them into strips about this size. And then they won't disappear under the spell of the fire. And if you want, what you can do with these is you can also go this way just once and cut the slices in half. There we go. That's a little bit more manageable. And puts them in the almost bite-size range. They're going to be a heck of a lot closer to bite-size by the time we're done grilling them. Just another cross cut. And the neat things about vegetables on the grill is, honestly, they don't need a lot of work. You could add, a little extra salt to this, or some kind of seasonings if you wanted to, I suppose. But I think a lot of the seasonings that are out there, they take away from the natural sweetness that develops as the peppers and onions caramelize. They really don't need much work. And they're just such a cool color too. I love these sweet peppers. And they're really good for you too. Okay, and I put a glove on to deal with these jalapenos and the serranos. Now, with the jalapeno and the serrano, the heat is in this white core. And what I did is I quartered this, and I'm just going to cut out some of the seeded part, but I do want to leave some of that core. I want some heat in this pepper dish, and then I'm just throwing it right in with the other peppers. And this heat will spread, so don't think of this as just like 4 pepper pieces that won't have any implications. Those 4 pieces I just put in, the heat from those will spread to the other peppers. So if you don't like heat, you don't have to add this at all. And with the serrano, because it's so thin, I'm just cutting that into halves, lengthwise, and just taking out some of the seed, and then I'll throw this in too. And the other reason I leave these a little bit big is sort of as a warning to people who are eating this pepper dish that, that they're hot. If I hid these in the dish, people would be getting surprises. And now all I'm doing is stirring in our 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And don't overdo the oil, because we certainly want to make this a little bit non-stick on the non-stick, and it helps it to cook a little bit more evenly too. But if you overdo the oil, you're going to end up with a greasy dish of vegetables, and you don't want that. And then we're just going to sprinkle our salt on. Measure it out if you're not sure, but that should be enough. And then all I do is just stir it up. Try to get that oil on all the vegetables. Again, it's just a nice thin coat. I don't want to turn this into a fry fest. Just kind of tap the veggies, and as they're cooking, I'm going to have to move them around in the pan. So, the oil, even more oil would be spread onto the vegetables at that point. But you can see, this is going to be delicious. And you wait until you see after this grills. And they grill pretty fast, so it's not going to take us long to get this done. Okay, so I'm going to meet you out at the grill. So here we are outdoors on a beautiful summer night. Well, it's about summer in Florida. And I have preheated our grill. Now make sure that you start your grill according to your manufacturer's specifications. It usually involves making sure that the controls are turned off on the panel, turning the gas on underneath, and then coming up, turning the handles to get the automatic ignition to kick in, and then your grill will start up, and then you want to close the top and just have it start to preheat. But again, every grill is a little bit different, so I'd like you to read the manufacturer's recommendations before you start using a grill. Once you get it down, it's a breeze, you won't even think about it. But I really like to remind people of that, because I don't want anyone to get injured. I want people to get out here and make some delicious food. So our grill is all preheated. It's up around 500 degrees. The pan has a little bit of grit on it because I did cook another dish for another program. And I'm just pouring our pepper mix right in there. Now hold your hand a little high when you do that, because the vegetable oil is going to go down and you might have a little bit of a flare up of the flame. And because I'm using a non-stick pan, I'm using a non-stick spatula. Now this non-stick property is not going to really matter for long with these pans, because we're grilling at such a high temperature that the vegetables, the sugar in it, are going to caramelize and burn right to the pan. But for one night, we're going to pretend that non-stick actually works. So what I'm trying to do is get the vegetables into a single layer. If I have multiple layers of vegetables, they're not all coming into contact with the surface
and they're not all getting the same amount of heat. So try to get a pan that's big enough to get this down to one layer. And then all we're going to do is close the lid and let it cook for 5 minutes, and then we'll just move the vegetables around again. And this process will probably take about 15 minutes until it's all done. So I'll be right back. Woo, that sun went down fast tonight, so let's take a look. It's been 5 minutes. And here we are. I'm just going to flip them. You can see they get some nice color. The onions are starting to get a little caramelized. Peppers got some nice burn marks on them. That's what we're looking for in this. Everything's like it's holding up quite well. And I just want it to start getting translucent. I don't want these vegetables, I don't want any of these vegetables to be raw. So that's why I'm kind of moving it around, giving it a good flip. And I'm glad I brought this headlight out so you can actually see what I'm doing. There's nothing more romantic than grilling at night. Wouldn't that look good on an apron or a t-shirt? Make sure if you do it, you put Step-by-Step Chef somewhere on there. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to close this for 5 more minutes, and I think it's going to be done when we come back. I'll be right back. And here we are. I think I'm the last one up. But as you can see, we have some nice, gnarly peppers and onions. Now, if you like them even gnarlier than this, you can certainly do it. I find that the sweet onions, just sauteed, have a beautiful gnarly going. And to my taste, when they have just a little bit of a crisp still going, I'm going to take these out. But again, if you like them gnarlier, go for it. I'm going to take these out, put them into our pan. Usually I do this as a two-handed affair. You definitely want a long spatula for this, or you're going to melt the hair off your fingers. It gets that hot over this fire. The other thing you can do is they make these heat-resistant gloves. I usually use that, and you can take this right off the fire and do this without feeling the heat. So there are options, but I really do recommend one of those heat mitts if you're going to use one of these pans. And especially if the pan doesn't have a handle on it. This one does not have a handle. So I'm just going to scoop the last of this, and I'll see you inside.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is beat the eggs. Now I'm adding 1 teaspoon of water to this bowl. And what that teaspoon of water does is it helps the eggs to actually rise. They get much fluffier. You can use milk if you want. I find that it's such a small amount of liquid that it doesn't really matter. Milk or water is fine, just 1 teaspoon. And now we're just going to crack our eggs in here and give them a good scramble. Okay, that's a nice consistency. And now we're going to take our peppers and we're just going to chop them up a little finer. I don't like big pieces of peppers in this dish. I like them chopped really fine. Just be a little careful when you're doing this because they have some vegetable oil on them, so they're kind of slippery. But I'm just cutting down the larger pieces just so they're a little bit more bite size, and so that when you take a bite of it, you don't have like a whole piece of pepper come out and land on your chin. So it's just something I like to do with this dish. And if you like that kind of hearty, hey, I want those whole peppers feeling in your mouth, you're certainly welcome to use the whole slice. But I wouldn't cut them so small that they start to vanish. If you do that, then they may overcook in the omelet. So that's a good consistency right there. Just give them a little bit of a chop, and that's fine. And now what I do is I have my frying pan preheating at just under medium, and I'll meet you over at the stove. And our pan is all preheated. Let's just put the butter in. And just melt that nice and even over the bottom of the pan. It's kind of sticking to my spatula. And here's our egg mixture. Now my range is just a little bit off center, so I have to give this a little bit of an adjustment. There we go. And now what we're going to do is, see those little windows where it gets a little bit dark? That's actually the white of the egg, and it makes it so we can see the bottom of the pan. What we're going to do is wait until those start to turn white and yellow, whitish yellow, and then we know that a floor has formed underneath the egg mixture, and then we can add our cheese and our peppers to it. So this usually takes about 3 minutes. And 3 minutes later you can see that the windows have turned white. They've turned white or yellow. I'm not seeing any more dark windows, so I can add our peppers. And I'm putting the peppers on half of the omelet. And then I'm going to put the cheese on the other half, and we're going to let it cook, and then we're going to flip the cheese on top of the pepper part. And I really love these peppers, so I add a lot of them. You can add a little bit less if you want. But look at that, that's grilled peppers. Oh, is it tasty. And here's the cheese going on the other half. Again, use more or less cheese depending on your taste. In fact, I'm going to use a little bit less than the half a cup. That looks like a really good amount right there. And then we're just going to cover this. And then we're just going to watch. What I want to happen is I want the cheese to melt, and I want the liquidy egg to cook. So I want this cheese to melt, the liquidy egg to cook, and I can tell the egg is cooked when it doesn't glisten. When it doesn't glisten, then I'll know it's cooked and it's time to flip the cheese over. And this could take about 5 minutes. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. And 5 minutes later, let's take a look. Perfect. The cheese melted down nicely, the peppers are all warmed up, and I don't see any runny liquid. So we're just going to take this by the cheese half and just flip it on top of the pepper half. And there you have it. A delicious grilled pepper omelet. So congratulations, look at what you just did. You just made this delicious pepper and onion omelet. Now if you want a printable version of this recipe, please visit my website stepbystepchef.com. There you're going to find over 100 recipes and video links, free video links that will show you how to cook delicious dishes the step-by-step way. I'm Larry Richardson, I am your step-by-step chef, and I'll see you in the next episode.